Okay, we're streaming.
All right, let's do this then. In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 167, recorded on February 15th, 2018, otherwise known as 50% Chocolate Day. On tonight's episode, we're going to discuss eShop sales and a trickle of news. And in the second hour, Gary Gray is going to join us fresh off Nintendo's Labo event to give us all the juicy details about that sweet, beautiful cardboard. Zach, cue that music.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nintendo Dads Podcast. My name is Zach Erickson, and tonight is February 15th, 2018. Joining me tonight from the land of DS, 3DS, Super Nintendo things. I don't know where I'm going. Just Walker, what's going on, man?
Oh, pretty good. I just got back from Black Panther showing, and
I forgot that came out. I need to go see that this weekend.
it is good.
Is it? Oh, good.
It is good.
Right on. Speaking of good, speaking of delicious, joining us as well, Marty Estes. What's going on, Land of the South?
It is going so good. You know why I said that at the beginning of the show? Because when I said 50% Chocolate Day, you kind of shot a look.
No, I was like, wait a minute. This is making
sense.
You
know why?
It's Valentine. It's the day after Valentine's Day, of course.
It's the day after Valentine's Day, otherwise known as the day everyone goes and gets 50% off chocolate.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
And so if you're super cheap and you hate people, this is the day you buy them candy.
November 1st, to be fair, is also a really good day for that.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
It's the other side of the year.
So I got to tell you guys, since
it just doesn't come in red heart-shaped boxes in November.
Right, yeah. Since we're discussing Valentine's Day, I got to tell you about the thing that happened to me in Walmart the other day. So, like a good husband, I bought my Valentine's card for my wife way early, right? But I forgot to buy for my kids. Like, I had them a little gift, but I didn't have a card. So I'm in the aisle and I'm trying to pick one out. And there's this guy and he's on the phone. And this is exactly what I heard. I turn around the corner and he goes, "Well, tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so I guess I got to go buy a stupid dang card." And I was like, man, whoever is getting that card, you are so loved.
Yeah.
Such romance.
Well,
dang. Here's your stupid dang card. You're 50% off chocolate. He probably waited till today to give it to her.
That's awesome. You know what?
Hope he didn't buy last year's 50% off chocolate.
Some people do that.
Oh.
Yeah, save it for a year. Why didn't I think that?
You didn't hear that from me, but some people do that.
Yeah, some people do that, and definitely not you.
See, that's the sort of thing that's supposed to stay as a joke, not in real life.
Yeah. That's I don't know. There's something about my life in that, but I'm not going to sit and think about how it applies. Anyways, we've got some stuff to talk about. Not a whole lot, but we've got a guest coming up later on. And so we're gonna get straight into things, and I'm gonna hit the. Are we doing what you've been playing first? Did we decide that? Let's just do that.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Let's do that. So we're gonna jump into that first. All right, and we're mixing things up today, people. So news is coming later on because we got somebody. And of course, what you've been playing today. Actually, before we get started, I did want to talk a little bit for people who stay till the end of the show. Then they probably have already heard this a little bit, but I have a new podcast that is officially launched out there on the internet right now. And so if anybody, if people are interested in it, I think I've been talking for a while about doing a psychology show. For those of you who don't know, in real life, I am a registered provisional psychologist, aka I am a therapist here in Edmonton, Alberta. And so basically what that means for the show is it's called The Shift Show, which we intentionally called that because you have to have really good diction in order to not call it The Shit Show, which is even better. Sorry, parents of kids, by the way. So anyway, that's the kind of show that this is too. But anyway, basically the show is all about it's like sort of cool mental health things. It's also just interesting conversations that we want to have around all sorts of different stuff, right? So we have episodes planned with all sorts of things, I guess. Marty's got a message saying, yeah, make sure you timestamp that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. Sorry, live listeners, you guys are. It is what it is. Anyway, Nintendo dads, you guys are adults. Basically, though, yeah, go over to shiftshow.me and that's where you can find the episode. You can find it on iTunes now. I think they're still trying to submit it in other places as well. And yeah, it's really exciting. It's the thing I love about the practice that I work at is that it's very, very laid back. The people that I work with, the other psychologists, were all very, I guess it's like we're passionate about kind of having, kind of opening up the conversations around psychology in a way that makes it approachable, and it's not quite so like medical and sterile and kind of intimidating that I think some conversations around mental health services can be. And so, yeah, so that's basically what it is. And we are absolutely interested in people's feedback. So there's a contact page over there. Again, that's shiftshow.me.
And it's a very, very nice website. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, they've got some. They hire some very. We've got some pretty good web designers on staff as well, and like the social media people. Like basically, all I have to do is literally record the show, and then I'm like, here, guys, here's the file, and they just send everything off, and it's super cool. So
kind of like what you do with me.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, that's what I told them. I was like, all right, so here's how I have made the other Nintendo dads work is I just record. And then everybody else does everything else. And they were like, oh, okay, cool. Let's do that then. I was like, all right, cool. So anyways, go check it out. Yeah, basically we're still early on. And so if if you want to continue to change the world, then you can even leave reviews on iTunes and stuff like that. We're still within that window where...
yeah, you tried to call episode 1 a beta copycat.
Yeah, we totally did. Yeah. So we're still figuring it out. And so anything that people are interested in, let us know, and we'll see if we can do some podcast episodes on that too. So anyways, let's talk about some games that we've been playing. Marty, you've been playing new games this week. Right?
Yeah, yes, lots of new games.
Yeah, what have you been playing, man?
So there's a little game that came out this week that a few people were excited about called Owlboy, and this was one that was very anticipated. Oh my, Jesse!
You're welcome.
This is one that we found. I think a lot of people were highly anticipating. With it coming up, it was kind of. Like, I don't know that you can apply the phrase indie darling to everything, but this is pretty close.
That's never stopped people from trying.
Right, that's true. This is pretty close. And so Owlboy is a 2D puzzle platformer that launched on the Switch this week for $24.99 USD. And you follow the adventures of an owl boy who is not very good at being an owl. His name is Otis, and he kind of, you start the game and you kind of get a little backstory about his insecurities, about his training with it, and suddenly you get thrust into the middle of this big story, right? Of like a plot to take over the world, of typical video game fare. Where this kind of differs is that Otis doesn't really have any power on his own. He has to depend on his friends. So in the beginning, you meet a friend named Getty, who is in your town, who oddly is a human. And I haven't gotten to the point yet in the game where I understand kind of like why there's humans and dogs and owls and they're all kind of living together and everybody's like, whoa, okay, cool. Diversity, I guess. So
humans living together. Yeah.
Right. So like Owlboy or Otis can pick up Getty and fly around with him like clutched in his talons. And Getty is like, the way he attacks. Getty has a little laser gun and he'll shoot enemies, or you can throw Getty onto switches that he'll press down and then you can go pick him up. And then later on, as the story progresses, you actually get other characters who can do other abilities. And you even get a handy dandy teleport stone to teleport that person to you at any time. And so far, I've really enjoyed my time with this game. I honestly haven't gotten a lot with it, but I guess I kind of get the hype. You know, did either of y'all pick this up or are interested in it?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay.
But
Nor
it's
have I.
interesting. No, it's basically the yeah. I'm kind of feeling like. Anyways, I don't want to distract from yours, but
No, you're fine because that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I mean, it's a great game. I feel like I'm doing this a lot on the show lately, but it's like I'll say, I haven't played it enough to really give a good solid opinion on it. And it's because I'm like you, and maybe this is going to kind of segue into what you're going to talk about. Like, I've been swamped in games for so long that like I kind of just like I boot up my Switch and I'm like, I don't know what to play.
yeah,
Because I've got to play this and I've got to play that and I've got to do this. And like I get it, like that there's some people who do this and it's like their day job, and they play games 8 hours a day and then they go home and then they play more games. And I'm cool with that. Like, I'm not complaining about games. We're glad to review games that come in, and we want to provide but like when you have a 8-hour job that's not playing video games, it's kind of hard to fit all of them in.
Yeah.
You know?
And I feel too like lately I feel like we had such a wealth of games that came out that I feel like lately, since the new year, really, there hasn't been a whole lot that has kept my interest for very long. Like something that's actually like basically I'm looking at the games that I have, even ones that I really liked. I'm kind of like, I don't know if I really want to play that. Like seriously, the games that I'm still going back to are Enter the Gungeon, which I mean I've talked about that game enough. I don't need to talk about it anymore. But like Enter the Gungeon, Skyrim, I'm making my way through that. I picked up Zeo Drifter this week, or I guess we got a code for that. Darkest Dungeon, like literally the same games. I'm kind of in this weird place where I'm not super even games that are coming up that I was excited about before. I don't know what it is, but I'm feeling less excited than I was before. And I don't know, maybe that's just me, but it's just a weird time for me where I kind of go through those phases where I'm like, yeah, video games, they're cool, like I don't know, maybe I need to revoke my Nintendo Dad's card for a while and go into the wilderness and
and maybe Zach, maybe this is good to talk about this. I don't know, like I don't think we need to revoke your Nintendo Dad's card. I don't know, like I think we go through seasons in our life where, maybe we do play more video games, or maybe we do not play as many video games, and that's perfectly okay. It doesn't mean that your opinion is not valid about those things. Maybe it just means that your opinion, this is going to sound really bad, but I don't mean it that way. Like maybe it just means your opinion or my opinion, if I'm in that place, doesn't carry as much weight as someone else's. But I think it's cool that you're being honest about that. Like, I think it's cool that you're being upfront about that and saying, look, I'm just kind of mad right now about video games.
So is this Zach being on the other side of the couch?
No, totally. No, let's do this.
But what I'm saying is and hear me out. Like, we've ridden this incredible wave of excitement, right, about the Switch, and about and it's been building since like November or October of 2016, right? And it built and it built and it built until January, and then it was like, whoa, yeah, we had to build and build and build until launch day, and then launch day came and yeah, this is awesome, and the Switch is great, and it's changing my life, and it's built and built and built and built until now. And we're a year out with the Switch almost, and yeah, it's awesome and it's cool, but like the novelty's worn off. Let's be honest. The Switch is what it is, and it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not throwing it under the bus at all. It's great, but like I said in our prediction show, there's going to come a time this year when Nintendo's going to let us down.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too that I
know that's kind of obtuse, but.
Yeah, I think too, like sometimes, especially when we're sort of, like we're like the big fans, we are, we have a lot of a lot of interest and we're constantly following what Nintendo's doing and all that kind of stuff. I think sometimes we almost like convince ourselves that it is 100% up to Nintendo to keep us entertained. And if they don't have something new and exciting coming out, or like something new and exciting is coming out on the Switch, then we kind of forget, like, oh wait, no, it's still like there are so many other things in life to keep you busy, right? And I think that's part of what kind of is like I'm more excited about some other I'm getting this other podcast started up, and that's taking some of my time, and I'm enjoying that. And like I've kind of gotten into playing some games on my PC a little bit more. Like I actually got an email from Blizzard that was like, hey, you have a week of World of Warcraft for free right now. And so I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. Jump back into that. And then that led me to like reinstalling Diablo 3 on my laptop and just stuff like that too, where I'm like, you know what, like maybe it's okay that Nintendo isn't like, I'm not super excited about the Switch all the time, right? Like maybe I can go and explore some other cool stuff. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at.
And as you know, I've had my droughts over the years, so nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I think that there's like, yeah, like you were saying, Marty, the Switch is now like the novelty has worn off, and now it is just a fixture in our lives like anything else was, right? Like and it's interesting to kind of be at that point for sure. So yeah. Anyway, so having said that though, like I did play some Zeo Drifter. It's a great port of that game, or version, or whatever you want to call it. It's a good version of that game. Other exciting news is that Darkest Dungeon finally updated their freaking icon, which is good. It was like you know how like sometimes game companies will make their icon just like one really big obscure thing, like that the original Tumbleseed icon was just like, right? And it was just like
also did the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, they did that. That was, if we're talking about big stuff, then we might as well talk about that. But,
well, speaking of big stuff,
yeah.
I've also been playing The Fall 2 on the Switch, and I'm going to tell you something. I really, really like this game. It's very fresh and very different than anything I've played lately. So, obviously, The Fall Part 1 is not on the Switch. And so when it first comes on, you get a recap of basically the first game. So, and the basic story is you're playing an AI who was part of like a legion of AIs, that this computer company had developed, I guess, and it broke free, right? And where its original directive was to save mankind or to save people, it kind of updates its own directive, and it says, my directive is now save myself, right? And so in the very beginning of the game, you're introduced and you're this AI, and the body of the AI is shutting down. And it's trying to be deleted. Like they're trying to delete this random AI who's, trying to get out and trying to break away from the program. And you end up getting out, and you enter like a data network, I guess is the best way to describe it. But the gameplay becomes very Metroid-esque. And at first I thought, oh, so it's just going to be like kind of a Metroid game where, you get different power-ups and you're able to shoot different doors and go into different places. And there's going to be combat against these big, like, shadowy things and things like that. And so at first I wasn't too impressed. But then I made it to like the first section of the game, I guess, where the AI takes over the body of another robot and starts like trying to figure out, because like what you're trying to figure out is why the user is trying to delete you. And so you start tracing the user's IP address or location through all these different random robots and things that he's using as a back end. And so the first one is a servant robot, like a very prim and proper English butler. And so you're in this body of this robot butler who has his own voice, but your own voice is in there, and they're arguing with each other, and you're trying to manipulate the butler to get out of its routine. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so in the routine that it's going through is it's serving this house, and all the people in it died years ago. And so every morning the robot gets up, makes tea, and takes it to the decomposing corpse of his master. where all these like cups of tea are piled up on the table, right? And so your mission is, and you're trying to get into this room, well, that's locked. And so you figure out that the cleaning supplies are behind that door. So then you have to figure out a way to make a mess. But you have to do it without the robot knowing. So there's things that you can make it do, like raise the shades in the ladies' room. And while it's doing that, the robot's like energy is outside of the body, and only your AI is in control. So you can like manipulate things around the room. Otherwise, he's like I said, very prim and proper, and he's like, "Why are you messing with the master's things?" And like forces you to go back, and it's really cool. I don't know if I'm doing it justice by the way I describe it, and like that totally caught me off guard. And there's going to be different, robot entities that you play throughout the game as you eventually get to the user. The only thing I don't like about this game is that the controls can kind of be a tad clunky at times. And like, the only way I know to describe it is if you take the way that Resident Evil used to control, like the tank controls type thing, and you apply that to Metroid, that's kind of what you're getting here.
Oh, okay.
Like sometimes you'll need to shoot in a direction and you'll be turned in the opposite direction, and like an enemy's killing you and you can't, like, you're like, why am I not turning around? And then you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really neat thing. And like the way the art style is very stylized. So when you're in this mansion, it's almost like completely black and white, and there's a thunderstorm going on, and there's like rain pattering on the windows, and it's really good. And I would highly recommend it. We got, and we're saying that because we got a review copy of it, and we're going to have some footage of it up on YouTube later on this week if you're still needing some, just a little bit, something to push you over the edge. But that and Owlboy have pretty much taken up my time lately.
Nice. Right on. And so what's that one called again? We got an email. We got an email this week, by the way, that was like, please repeat the games that you talk about after you talk.
Right. Okay. That is The Fall 2 Unbound. Is the name of it. The Fall 2 Unbound.
Cool. Right on. So that's awesome. And then you also, both of you, have been playing Dragon Quest, correct?
Yeah. Not as much as my son.
I actually haven't gotten any further in that yet. I've been playing other things.
Okay.
I'm not very far at all. Like, I've gotten to the very first monster attack on the village.
Okay.
And I just beat it and saved it, and I was like, okay, I got to go to work.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I wanted to this is so random. So basically just background is that I'm like, as we're talking, I'm slowly like putzing around in Skyrim right now. One of the things, this is totally random, but I'm going to say it anyway. Did you guys notice what I've been really impressed with this game is how it uses the HD rumble? Have you noticed that yet? Like are either of you guys aware? Marty, you played Skyrim, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I've noticed in Skyrim is when that game in OK Switch, 1-2 Switch, mm-hmm. the safe game.
Yes.
Basically, you can actually use the HD rumble, like specifically to very effectively do like master level lock picking. So, this is something I didn't know was in the game or whatever. But if you very slowly are moving the thing around, because of how HD rumble works, I don't even know. It's either more subtle or it's way, like, I haven't played any of the other versions, but when you're moving the lockpick thing from left to right in that sort of rotation thing, right? It does that, and it will rotate around, and it has very, very quickly it'll do those little taps as you're kind of playing with the tumblers or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It will actually do, and it is very, very fine movement that you're doing, like very slowly. One of the bumps in the entire arch of that 180 degrees, one of those rumble rotations will be different than the other ones. And if you find it, then it's like click, and like you'll feel the slightly more intense rumble, and then it'll open. and like even a master level lock. I was playing it the other day, and I found it, and I was able to unlock this master level lock, and I got like tons of sweet loot out of this chest that I totally didn't expect to be able to do. I was like, not that far in the game, and so I'm really impressed with Skyrim. Like, I know it's a super old game now, but yeah, the HD rumble in this game is pretty slick. So anyway, yeah. So Marty or Jesse, what have you been playing, dude?
Okay, I did finish Night in the Woods, and last week I said that for a game that's primarily a story, I was waiting for the story to kick in, and yeah, it kicked in big at the end, and I think the payoff was worth it, even though it had such a slow start. But
Cool.
it's things happen I wasn't expecting to happen. So
I've heard that game is a little bit dark.
It's a lot of bit
That's
dark.
very dark.
Yeah.
It goes dark.
Like you'll look at it and you'll go, "Oh, animal game, not for kids."
Not for kids in what sense?
There's a lot of adult themes talked about. I mean, there's a section in the middle of chapter 3, I think, where you go to a party in the woods, and your character gets just ripping drunk,
I think
and throws up everywhere.
Yeah, this is still early in the game, like
yeah,
late chapter 1, early chapter 2.
Yeah, and so then there's
There's a lot of language in the game.
There's a lot of language. I mean, sexual discussion in some ways. There's a severed arm early in the game.
Okay.
That you poke with a stick.
Nice.
Like that's part of the game. To poke it with a stick.
Which does have a payoff in the end. So
Yeah.
I was hoping they would do something with that other than just be, okay, there was a weird arm.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was going to say something else, now I forgot. Oh yeah, there's a gay. Two of the characters are a gay couple.
Right.
Okay.
So that's they don't specifically say it, but it's just, oh, here's a guy and here's my boyfriend. Okay, sure, great, have fun.
Cool.
And no one makes a big deal out of it. It's just normal everyday life in this town.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I think, how it should be.
I still think
It shouldn't be a big
it's
deal.
it's really an interesting game. And I think a lot of that slowness at the beginning is setting the foundation for that end part to hit so hard, right?
Yeah.
So, I've seen a lot of people kind of roasted online about this is just menial. It's not really. It's nonsense. It doesn't make a lot of blah blah blah.
Yeah,
but
how many people? How many people who say that actually finished it?
Well, this reviewer did, and they basically the reason that they kind of were bagging on the game was they said that the main character was a big jerk.
Well, she is,
and yeah,
but I kind of enjoyed that
thing, though, right? Like it's not.
It's not. Yeah, it's not every day you get to play a game where the main character is a big total jerk, and
sometimes that's cool.
Yeah,
I mean, it's different to be sure.
She's a jerk, yet people still like you, and you still rally behind you, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Especially one of those. No, I need to do this on my own, and like, no, dudes, we got your back.
Mm-hmm. Right on, man.
So yeah, there's not an award-winning story by any means, but still, I was entertained, and that was all. That should be its goal.
Yeah. Very cool.
And I downloaded and started to play Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. Kind of a HD, as much as HD as you can get on a 3DS compared to a DS remake of the previously released DS game. And the main problem with the original release is, the problem Atlas had on all of their games in the DS era is their games were so limited run that they were hard to find, and if you didn't get it right away, and then therefore the value of the second party market jumped instead of dropped. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard. But now, on 3DS, it's more readily available. It's on the eShop. You can there's no quantity limitations anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good way to play the game if you haven't played it yet. And I played the original up into the end game, but I think I hit a difficulty spike wall that I couldn't get over and never did finish it. So I'm hoping to give it, try it again in here. So I'm just starting out. I only got like half hour in so far. I was hoping to get more in, but then I forgot about I had that movie tonight.
I'm excited to see that movie, by the way. That's gonna be good. But yeah, no, that's cool.
All right. Did you have any other games you wanted to talk about before I talk about my last item?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I picked up the Super Nintendo edition of the new 3DS XL. And this is actually my second one I got my hands on because the first one was a disaster. So, and
that's right, yeah.
People said I should have done a box opening of it, and I kind of wish I did because that would have been an epic fail of a box opening. So here's what happened. The patrons already know this if they're in the chat because I've told it there. But this is what happened. I opened the box, and the first thing I see is the Mario Kart Virtual Console game digital eShop code already rubbed off.
Oh.
So okay, that's strike one. So
that's a red flag.
The system was still in its little foam envelope, and it looked like it was in good shape. So I turned it on, and what's the first thing you expect to see when you turn on a new 3DS out of the box?
Use your language.
Yeah.
Right. No, I got the tile screen, main menu.
You gotta yeah, nice. That should have been somebody else.
Strike two. But okay, at this point I'm thinking, all right, I really don't care about Mario Kart. Not a big deal that the code isn't usable. The system still looks like it's in good shape. All I have to do is do a factory reset, and it's good. So I went into the settings to hook it up to my network so I can do a factory reset, and there's a parental control pin enabled. So now I can't do a damn thing with it.
That's amazing.
So I pack it up, fill out. I bought it from Amazon, which has awesome return policies.
Yeah.
So I filled in return form, got the UPS mailing label, packed it up, dropped it off at the UPS store last night after work. And the way Amazon handles their returns, at least they do for Prime, I don't know if it's for everybody, but as soon as they get notified that UPS has custody of the box, I get my money. I don't actually have to wait for them to receive it.
Right, yeah.
So I got the email about 2 hours after I dropped it off. I placed another order about 20 minutes after I got that email. And then, so this is like 8:30 at night, 9 o'clock at night when I placed the order. So in my area now, they have same-day delivery for Prime. So, so I basically ordered it last night and I got it today. And I literally opened the box while we were in pre-show. And this one looks like it's in good shape. My code is unused. I haven't turned the system on. I just plugged it in to give it a charge. But during the rest of the show, I'll probably be starting the system transfer.
Sweet.
Do you care about the Mario Kart code?
I don't. I was thinking about, giving it away somehow.
Is that a Mario Kart 7 code or
no? It's Super Nintendo Virtual Console.
Oh, right, because it's the Super Nintendo deal.
Yeah,
you have to have the 3DS XL new.
Any new 3DS will use it. Doesn't have to be XL, but it has to be.
Oh yeah,
new,
that's right.
But it has to be new.
Right.
Yeah. The Mario Kart 7 bundle is the 2DS stuff.
Well, I mean, but if we're splitting hairs here, you technically can't get a new Nintendo 3DS anymore. Just the XL.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Hey?
Yes. But I'm just saying, for anyone who still has a non-XL new 3DS can still buy it.
The naming
can still buy the game.
Here's the thing: is that Nintendo, when you name things stupid like this, then it makes it really difficult to have any sort of actual conversation about it, because it's like, well, technically, you can get a new 2DS XL. Or a new 3DS XL, but you can't, and you could also get just a regular 2DS, but you can't get a normal new 3DS.
And you can tell how often we've been talking about this, with how easy it has been rolling off our tongues.
Well, I mean, what were they going to call it? Were they going to call it like the Nintendo 3DS XLT?
I don't know.
Like you're getting into big and tall store sizes?
I know it's
The
well.
Nintendo 3DS Portly.
I don't know what you call it, but like, yeah, like
Husky.
it's exactly.
3DS Husky.
Yeah, exactly. So that's so that's that.
I say all that because I'm about to go get fitted for a tux for a buddy's wedding.
Yeah.
And I know it's coming. Oh, we'll have to put you in the portly sizes.
And you're
No,
like,
I mean, like, look, just come up with a better name for it. Just say fat. I don't care. Like, no big guy wants to be portly.
yeah, seriously. Yeah, that's amazing. By the way, now we are. I've just added him to the call. I think he's here. He messaged me, so we'll see how this works. But I'm gonna play a bumper just because I think he's here. Is he here? It's maybe.
He hasn't answered yet. Now
He who must not be named. There he
Alright.
is.
Oh, there we go. Here, I'm gonna play a bumper. All right, and now we're getting into the news, and it's brought to you by Patreon.com/Nintendo Dads for as little as $1 a month. Even you out there in the world can support the show. And welcoming to the show, Gary Gray. What's going on, Gary?
Hey, it's early. I'm tired, but I'm here.
Yeah, right on. Hey,
Is it 5 a.m. your time?
Yeah, 5 a.m. Yeah.
that's hilarious. Gary. So Gary, you just yesterday for you, right? You went to a Nintendo Labo event, right?
I did, yeah.
Right on. And it's funny. I actually, I got a message, a DM on Twitter from a friend of mine who works at Engadget. I actually used to do a show with him. His name's Sean Buckley.
I was going to say Sean, right?
Yeah, Sean. And he said, like, he was like, dude, I was looking through a bunch of pictures that our guy at Engadget got from this Nintendo Labo event, and apparently one of the best pictures that we have is your dude who was at the Labo event and his remote control car that clearly had NDADs emblazoned on the side of it.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So look, everybody, check out Engadget, and hopefully we'll, if we see the picture, we'll send that out because I think that's hilarious. But thanks for getting up early, man. It's I know it's early for you.
Yeah, it was an early start yesterday as well. I got up at 2 a.m. to be down in London for the Labo event.
Wow. So you're yeah, right on. So
Yep.
So basically, and Nintendo, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Nintendo also released some videos about Labo this week. And this really is the only, I mean, other than the sale that we're going to get, that we can probably talk about a little bit later too. Labo is kind of, they're kind of pushing Labo a little bit starting this week, I guess. So, so how was it, man? Like, tell us about, kind of give us a rundown on what happened.
Yeah, the event was at the Science Museum in London. So, get to the Science Museum and you got your own little queue sort of thing. And you sort of sign in and then waited to go into this tiny little room to start with. And they showed you a video about, the same Labo trailer that we've all seen. And told you a little bit about it. And then we got to go in and make one of those little RC cars. It was the first thing we got to do.
Nice.
So you're following the instructions on the Switch to make one of those. There's actually two in the pack. One's like a Labo sort of printed one, and then the other one's just a plain cardboard one with nothing on.
Oh, okay. So you can have two different little whatever they are.
Yeah, and the two are included in the pack as well. So that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
So we got to make those, and they gave us some of the stickers and stuff for the they had an accessory pack, the little sticker packs that are coming out. So I got to make and play one of those, and even that was a lot more in depth than I thought it would be.
Oh, cool.
Making them following the instructions on the screen, you can sort of rotate, pinch and grab the instructions to see everything from whatever angle you want to see. You go backwards and forwards through the menus, stuff like that. And then the RC car itself, once it's actually up and working, is really cool. Now mine was off balance; it kept going to the right, but they've actually thought about that. You can change the sliders to change the frequencies of the vibrate to make them go exactly where you want to and to line up. And then
Cool.
playing around with that, there's multiplayer modes on the RC car as well, so you can wire two Joy-Cons up to the same Switch and play games where you battle in an arena, and it actually knows which one's been knocked over as well. So as soon as one topples over, that ends the match.
Was it as exciting as that video made it sound? Like I watched the video. I don't know if you've seen this video, but it was very I don't know. It looked like a very anticlimactic battle. Like sort of like, and then like one of them hit back. That's it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Well, I didn't actually see these videos yet because obviously I was at the event, I think, when they landed. So I didn't really know about this sumo battle thing that they had on it. So it came as a surprise, really. But it's pretty cool. I also got to play around with just using it as a remote control car. And there's a few features which I didn't know in there, like it's got an automatic mode, so the IR scanner sort of scans what's in front of it and starts following it. I did send a few videos across. I don't know if you put them up yet, but there is a video I've got of it following my hand on the table. So I put the controller there and you just literally just moving your hand in front of it and it follows your hand. Yeah. And you can change it to different settings. Like you can either change to follow an object or follow heat patterns. So if you click on the screen, it goes between like a sort of Game Boy looking thing to follow shapes, or it actually shows you what's giving off heat.
Mm-hmm. It's like freaking Predator, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. And the who thought that AR scanner was going to do that?
That's crazy.
Act as a camera, and we actually got to see it being used as a normal camera later on as well, and it was surprising, like seeing that, because like I said, when we saw the feature reel of the Joy-Cons originally, they never said that the AR camera could actually be used as a normal camera.
Yeah.
So that was crazy, yeah. So from there, from making the RC car, we got to play on all the games individually, and then we got to go to a part at the end, which we couldn't take any photos or videos of it, but it was like a workshop, which is how you can use some aspects of Labo with other parts. So, for example, we use the keyboard to make a fish for the fishing game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that fish actually appears in the fishing game after if you made one as well.
Yeah, I saw in the video that they showed that where you basically what they had was like take a piece of cardboard and then like use the camera to scan the outline, and immediately I was just like, oh, that there's going to be people with just like aquariums full of genitalia.
Yeah, definitely.
I only because that's probably what. Yeah, I don't know. On my own account, I'll probably have that just for fun, or just like one fish in the background that you could miss it if you don't see it. But.
Yeah, I saw like one animated GIF of like someone scanning their hand with the IR camera, and it turned into the landscape of like you're in this motorcycle up off a ramp, landing in this hilly area, and the hills are formed from the hand that would get caught. And the caption I saw was something along the lines of, how many phallic designs are we going to see?
Oh, yeah. I know. It's terrible. It's terrible. Can you share those online? Anyways, yeah. So that's the.
Yeah, and they said, I hope that you can't share them online.
Yeah, I'm sure that if you can share them online, that there will be a report feature. Like that's pretty standard. But yeah, man. So okay, so that's the little remote control things. Then what else was there? Like you started talking about fishing.
Yeah, we actually got to build the fishing rod as well. So after we sort of finished with the RC car, I got to play on literally everything else. So you got to play on the piano, the motorbike, the fishing, the little house thing, and the giant robot. And then once you've had a go of those, you get to build one of the smaller ones. So we chose a fishing rod because that game was really fun. So we decided to build on them, and it actually takes a bit of time to make the fishing rod.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that because they said like the piano. Now this is maybe I guess is a little bit of background. Like There's a when my son sits down to make a Lego set versus when I sit down to make a Lego set, I can build a fairly big set in not too long a time. But my son, it obviously will take longer because he's 7, right? Like, do you get the sense of like when they're like, how long did it take you to build the fishing rod?
I think it was about 40-50 minutes, but we were flying through it. We had it on fast forward.
Oh wow! And it still took you like 45 minutes to build the fishing rod.
Yeah, it still took a fair bit of time. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cool.
There's so many little parts in it that you don't really see. That that was what took the time.
So they're actually like pretty intricate then.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, especially the piano. We saw other people making those, and a lot of people not finish them. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of little parts in them. And
Right.
the one thing that you might not know about the fishing rod is it actually clicks as you're reeling it round. Like they've even thought about that.
Like they've got little spokes that you're running by or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's actual a physical feeling of it clicking.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Oh wow.
As you build the reel, there's sort of like this little tab that you put in. It's got like a music note written on, and you put it in, and that makes the click. And they give you 2 of those, so they give you a spare one, so they know they must wear out at some point.
That's awesome. Right on. We actually got some questions, by the way, from actually these are the ones that I have are from the Discord that we have, the Patreon Discord.
Go into the show notes. There are a total of 4 questions. 3 from Discord and then 1 from Justin's wife from Twitter.
Oh, there you go. That's not loading for me.
I've got it. You want me to read one?
I go for it.
Okay, so this is from NeoPrime33, and he wants to know the assumption is that the Labo software will represent most of Labo's costs. Example, out of the $70 for the kit, you're paying $50 for the software and $20 for the cardboard/stickers. Did you have a chance to play around with the software, and if so, does it seem like that is where most of the money is going?
I would say, yeah, definitely. There is a worry there that the software is not going to be that fleshed out, but for the demographic that it's aimed at and how kids like to repeat play stuff, there's actually quite a lot in the software, especially on stuff like the motorbike. Like it works in the way that Mario Kart works. Is a set of different cups, set of different CCs. So the bike alone's got quite a lot of content. And then like the piano, obviously, you get so much content with that, but the creation point of that is what's going to drive the software more than the actual software itself.
Yeah.
And on top of all that, when you get down to the Labo garage, I think it's been called, which is where you get to basically make your own software in a way. You get to choose an input, an effect, and an output. So, for example, if you look back at the original trailer, there's like this little cardboard man that falls over.
Yeah.
That was at the event, as well as a gun. And basically what they did is the little cardboard man, to start with, they made this thing where you just pressed on one Joy-Con and it'd vibrate him to knock him over with the other Joy-Con. But he was showing that you can make more complicated stuff, so they put a bit of like reflective tape on his face and then loaded the Joy-Con with the IR scanner into a gun, and they had it so you had to point at the reflective tape, shoot the gun, and that would be what makes him fall over.
So you could like make a shooting gallery, basically.
Yeah, they also did it with the little RC car as well. They used a bike attachment, put the Joy-Cons in it, so you rev the bike, and tilt it to control the RC car. So that part of the software alone is going to open up the door to the creators and the kids who just want to experiment with different things.
Did you get any sense of if there's a way for people to like share their like software creations online? You know what I mean?
I don't think there is as such, but to be fair, a simple screen share would probably do that, because you can see all the wires in, wires out, and how they're chaining them together.
Yeah, a little YouTube video or something is going to be just as good.
Yeah, the actual like interface for that is pretty clear. It's split into grids, so you just slap the grids on of what you want, and away you go with that. So that alone's actually got quite a lot into it. But the normal software, like I said, has got a lot there anyway. The giant robot one obviously is a different pack. It's still got the workshop and stuff on it as well. I only got to play in the one mode with the giant robot, which is basically smash everything. But there was other modes on there from what I could see. So, but I don't know how big that software is. But the variety kit's definitely got a lot in.
That's cool. Yeah.
So,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna make sure we caught this too. There's a follow-up question here.
Oh, go
from Neo Prime. He asked this as, let's switch gears just a little bit. What kind of swag did you come away with at this event?
Yeah.
Only really a picture of myself and a lanyard. That was it, really.
Nice.
Yeah, they gave you like this fact file thing, which is a certificate with your name on, saying that you just attended the workshop. And they took a picture with you behind like a Labo screen. That was pretty much it. Other than that, it was like just a normal Switch flyers, which advertise Amiibo and the games and stuff like that.
Very cool. Right on, man. Cool. What's our next question here?
Okay, so from Reason Kraken, he asked, how sturdy does the cardboard feel? And this is kind of going in with Jody's question as well, Justin's wife. How sturdy does the cardboard feel? How did the cardboard look by the end of the day? Did it seem to be holding up well? Did you get a chance to build any toy cons? And she asks, I'm interested in the quality of it. Is it going to break when my kids drop it for the first, second, or 50th time?
Yeah, so when you first get handed the cardboard, it actually is probably a bit flimsier than you would first think. But once it's all been folded and put together, it's actually really sturdy. So stuff like the RC car and the fishing rod and stuff, even though they're getting used all day, they were holding up really well.
Yeah.
Now, when I put the giant robot...
Sorry, real quick. Is the cardboard absorbent? I feel like that's actually my biggest concern with the cardboard. Like, just gross, sweaty kids. Like, are they going to absorb kid grime? Or is it like... I don't know. I don't know if you got a sense. Maybe that's a weird, specific question, but...
Yeah, I think you probably would pick up some kid grime. I didn't see that at the event, but it's just normal playing cardboard, so probably, yeah. But once it's put together, it is pretty sturdy. Like, yeah, it definitely withstand quite a lot. Saying that, when I put the giant robot suit on, it actually was broken when I put it on. So they had to come out and do a fix on it, which is obviously the worry that everybody's got. The fix was really fast, pretty simple. So I think that they've even took that into consideration, that when these things are going to break, you know, they need to be easily fixed. And yeah, they actually said to me, like, with having kids there punching really hard and just going at it like mad all day.
Yeah.
They actually hold it quite well. Said you just have to make minor repairs every now and again where they've just like tugged the string too hard and pulled something out of place. But yeah, it looks pretty thought through, to be fair, because like I say, the repair job that they did on it took them a couple of seconds.
Mm-hmm. And I do, even from the videos, I kind of get the sense that there's a certain like the way that they've designed those things, like they've reinforced them in places where they need to be reinforced and stuff like that. They're not like flimsy construction, right? Like,
well, I think I call back to when, you know, they first announced this and we talked about it on the show, that if you go and you look at basically at anything Nintendo produces, they produce it to last. They produce it like they're not just going to hand you some flimsy piece of paper or something like that. Like anything, even if it's just a little extra stuff that comes with a game or something like that, it's always pretty well made, right? I mean, look at the stuff that came with the, you know, like Breath of the Wild, the Master Sword edition. You know, that stuff was high quality. That coin is high quality. That map is really neat. You know, so if they're basing the future of or a good part of their future on releasing kids, that's going to be some dang good cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's literally pretty much in its construction where the strength comes from. Like I was a little bit worried about the bike, because obviously having the Switch and the Joy-Cons in this thing that you're basically just resting on your belly. I if it's going to be flimsy, that's going to be the one where you're going to drop something. But it's actually held up pretty well, and you know, they do some interesting things with the bike. Actually, the whole thing vibrates, so you've got it resting on your belly, and the Joy-Cons shake the whole thing to the point where it's shaking your belly as well. I don't know if that's just got a dad bod, but it's definitely like they tried to portray that feeling of a motorbike through that one really well.
That's Justin's job.
That's funny.
Shirtless Labo motorbike incoming over at YouTube.
Oh my gosh, dude. There are so many ridiculous Labo videos that we can do.
Oh, absolutely. So, I don't, maybe I missed this. Did you get to build one, or did you just get to play with them?
Yeah, we built the RC cars and the fishing rod. Yeah.
Okay. Did they let you take anything? I'm guessing they wouldn't have let you take anything home. That would have been nuts.
No, they wouldn't. No, we actually they entered all the RC cars into a competition at the end of the day, and there's some really, really amazing ones in there. Like, people's imaginations are crazy with these things. Like, there was a really cool Wolf Link one, which I actually reached out to the person who made that on Twitter. I managed to track them down, and it was really well done. There's like giant dinosaurs that people have made, which I don't know how they don't topple over, but
cool.
And then yeah, I thought I did pretty well with mine until I saw everybody else's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm excited for that. It's funny, I actually found I have both of them on pre-order now, both sets. And I'm a little bit like, they had, what was it, like the Canadian exchange is ridiculous up here. It was like $100 for one of them and $90 for the other one, so that was fun.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I'm like $190 in on that pre-order right now, which you know, and not only that, but Amazon is ridiculous about how long they usually take to ship things, but they're my backup plan. So anyway, but yeah, man. So like, I guess my question is like, what was of the 5 in the variety pack? Like, if you had to rank them, what would you say?
I really like the fishing one. It works surprisingly well, so I'd probably put that at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe the motorbike at number 2, because the software on it, more than anything, is really cool, because it's basically Mario Kart. It really is.
It looked like it was basically the same engine almost.
Yeah, it's got to be the exact same engine. I mean, I did really bad at that as well, so it must be. Then I'd actually say the housing was pretty cool.
Yeah, tell us about that one, because that one is it's got, the video showed 3 different little things that you can pop in there, right?
Yeah, this actually, from what you might not see on the videos, there's actually 3 little slots that they can go in as well. So there's 2 slots at the side and 1 slot underneath. So if you rest the house down on its back, there's another slot underneath there. And it's basically like a Tamagotchi. You got this little, it's like a weird little alien dog thing. And depending on how you put the attachments in, it will open up different games. Like, for instance, if you lie it flat, put this like a crank one, a push button attachment, and I forget what the other one was now. But basically, if you put the crank in the side and the push button in the bottom, it turns into like a jump rope. Like you sort of crank it to move the rope around in a circle, and then press the pusher button to make the character jump. So you have to spin the rope and jump over it at the same time.
That sounds awkward.
It's okay, to be fair.
So is that like tapping your head and rubbing your belly?
Yeah, it's just like that. And there's like a minecart one where it's you have to sort of wind up this propeller on the front of a minecart, and that propels it through the tunnel, and then you have to sort of jump to collect stuff. It's a bit like Donkey Kong, that like the little minecars in Donkey Kong, that bit. And yeah, it's quite interactive and quite cool. For what I saw there, most of the girls just flooded to that one and didn't leave. They weren't interested in the bike and the fishing. They stayed on the house.
That's awesome. Right on, man. Have we got through all these questions? We got a couple more.
No,
Drew's.
there's one more. Drew asks us this. With 2 young kids, my gaming time is limited and mostly late at night. I feel that my lifestyle makes it difficult for me to play Labo and puts me on the fence on whether to buy it or not. From your experience, can you convince me? Is it worth it?
Kids absolutely love it. That's the first thing that I noticed there. The kids really do love it. So there's no denying that part of it. Especially towards the older end of the scale that they gave. Like my 3-year-old, it would be pointless buying it a 3-year-old, but towards like 12 and that 10, 12, something like that range, it's really cool. Sorry,
go ahead.
It does take quite a lot of time to build some of these, which is part of it, but I'm sure you can put it down and then carry on the next day. As for a lifestyle thing, it just depends on really how much time you get, doesn't it? It's definitely something that you can play with the kids, especially the building and creating part. And then the playing, after that's done, they'll play with it themselves. Trying to convince someone based on a timescale is kind of hard. So I don't know if I could actually do that. But
maybe another way of asking the same question is like, what do you feel like? Because it sounds like if you've got kids who are of the right age, this is a no-brainer. But what about like if this is somebody, because you said like a 3-year-old, obviously they're not going to be interested in it. But what about the Nintendo gamer that does not have kids, right? Like, and that maybe is like, they're just like a traditional gamer. Is this even going to be interesting to them?
I think the Labo garage thing, I don't even know if it's actually called that, but that's what I keep calling it, where you get to like make the inputs and the outputs. That probably will be. As for the other bits of software, I really don't think so. It really is aimed at kids.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to find enjoyment keep playing the fishing game if you're a hardcore gamer. Say there's you'd buy a normal fishing game or something like that. So it really I would say it is aimed at kids. But if you enjoy papercraft and stuff like that, then and the decorating side of it, then yeah. Because I mean, even though the price tag might seem a little bit high, if you go out and look at cardboard craft, which I have having kids, it's expensive anyway.
Oh yeah.
So the software side of it really isn't that expensive when you take it into consideration how big the cardboard craft of these things are. And like you might have heard, it's not just cardboard in there. There is strings and eyelets and rubber bands, string, all that sort of stuff to make these. So yeah, from a hardcore gamer point of view, it's not going to blow you away. But from some like a creative side, then it might actually be worth it.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's really I'm excited for it. I feel like it's actually one of the few things that like between now and E3 that I actually am excited for, like legitimately. Like I think my kids and I are going to have a really good time with it. I guess one of the other questions I had is that do you get the sense that that software, like one of the things I've been thinking about is in the sort of like the maker crowd, like basically the house is an example, right? Like they have a cardboard house that it comes with, but I could just as easily potentially build a little Lego house and like kind of figure out something that would be compatible with it, or like people making things out of plastic or 3D printed or all sorts of stuff like that. Do you feel like that's something that could potentially blow up?
Yeah, with the other side of the Labo, definitely. As for replacements of the kits that they actually give you, I think some of the things like the house and the piano might be a little bit hard because they use a lot of like perfectly in line sort of reflective tape and attachments to work those. But yeah, like I say, with the part where you can design your own sort of cause and effects, then yeah, there's going to be a lot of creating on that. A lot of things, a lot of weird things. We're going to see a lot of weird things. Is what I'm trying to say.
And I think I think that's going to be really interesting to see that moving forward for sure. So
Yeah, I just want to answer a question that I know a lot of people have been asking in general.
Absolutely.
Is the robot suit? People are asking if you're short, if you're tall, will it fit? Yeah, it will. Everything adjusts really well on it. It basically the string wraps around. So what you've got on your feet and your hands, the string actually wraps around and then locks off on those. So if you're taller, you just take the rope out, unravel it a little bit more, and then retie it on. So it adjusts to any size. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you're like 12 foot tall, it would probably still fit you as well.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like it's because it's all just on spools, right? Like
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
So
Basically, yeah.
That's cool.
And that game's got a lot of depth into it because you got the like little visor thing, and when you pull that down, it turns into a first-person mode.
Yeah.
Stuff that people might not know about the robot is you can fly by you sort of put your hands at your side and stand up straight, and then as you tilt, it tilts the robot on screen. You can turn into a little car thing as well, and it has got a lot of unlockables, which they told us about as well. A few of those anyway. So maybe that software is quite in depth and got a bit more there. Maybe that one's worth it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as for like the quality side of it, the robot's pretty cool. It's pretty solid as well, and that comes with all sorts of like big straps and things like that to keep it held onto you. So again, it's not just cardboard in that like people are saying.
Right on.
So I got a couple of questions, and like I haven't found anything online about this. Like you said, you built the fishing rod.
Yeah.
Just a ballpark figure. How long did it take to build that piece?
It was just shy of an hour.
Really?
About
Wow.
40 minutes to an hour, yeah. We built it. We started out at the pace that the game sort of gives you. Basically, you hold the forward button, and it'll slowly turn the piece and show you how it's being folded and put together. But if you hold the forward button and then swipe your finger to the right, it extends the forward bar and shows you fast. So we started running out of time, and we didn't think we were going to make it. We didn't think we were going to make it in time, basically. So we fast forwarded the instructions and just watched what they were doing ahead of time, and then built it that way. So if you're speed building these and you're fairly confident in yourself, you could get them done pretty fast. But the pace of the game is sort of making it really clear, especially for kids, like really clear of the importance of things and how it's done. There's a lot of explanations on screen as well. You know, little things like kids will be tempted to sort of try and fold the predetermined fold lines by picking it up off a table and folding it. It'll tell you that you should leave it down because it's flimsy. So if you turn that piece, you know, you might crease it if it's up in the air. So there's quite a lot of sort of reading and pace-driven things. But like I say, if you're confident, you can fast forward it and just sort of see what's going on and then build it afterwards.
Cool.
Huh. So the other question I had is, you know, you said like I guess it was the motorbike, you know, actually had different CCs and tracks and, you know, cups and things like that. So, like, what about like in the others? Like I know you mentioned the piano a little briefly, but like, I guess what people are probably going to want to know is, like, if I'm buying the Toy-Con pack, you know, the variety pack for my two kids, do you think with what's in there that I'm going to get my money's worth since it's sitting at $50?
Yeah, what the way that you got to see it really is, you know, take the cardboard out of the cost, stuff like that. The softwares will end up pretty cheap. So I think the best comparison for it is something like We Play. The software's more involved than We Play. Like, you know, we all remember that. You've got like a short little game. Say you had the Duck Hunt sort of game on that. Take the piano game, and there's a lot more to it than what that Duck Hunt game had. So each piece of the software is a little bit more involved than some of those games. So yeah, I'd say the value is there pretty much. Like I said, with the bike, as far as we could see, there was at least 3 or 4 sets of tracks on 3 different CCs, but we don't know. I don't know if there's any unlockables. There could be even more.
Sure.
The piano, there was a whole bunch of different pianos, and you got stuff like, it'll teach you how to play songs and you play along. And it's also got a recording feature on there as well, so you can record yourself playing. So yeah, I'd say the content is there if you take away the cost of everything else that's in the pack. It's more fleshed out than maybe even 1-2 Switch. So yeah.
Well, and that's saying something. I mean, well, depending on who you talk to, that's saying something. For some people, more than 1-2 Switch would be like we play for the Wii. But my last question is this: so, did you get a sense in this event? And this may be an impossible question, but I'm just going to ask it. Like, did you get a sense from this event and like the way they're pushing this that like Toy-Con 1 and Toy-Con 2 will be all that we see prior to E3, or do you think that we'll see another pack before then? Because we know there's more. It was in that video, that initial reveal video. There were other things that weren't just a little cardboard man falling down, right?
Yeah, I don't know about the timescale, but there's definitely going to be more coming. I mean, I'm seeing this as it's going to be a hit. From everyone who was walking away, they were really well impressed. If they can convey that message across as well as they did at the event to the general public, then it's gonna have quite a life on it, I think. Another thing to mention actually is what you get in the packs is actually more than you might think in there. Like with the RC cars, you don't just get the RC car on each piece of cardboard. You get a few attachments and that as well. So like you got this little, like an elephant's head that you can stick to the front, and there's stuff like little antennas and things in there as well. So there is more in the packs than just the thing. There's stuff to get them customized as well. Now, we already know there's like packs of like stickers and Labo branded tape and that come in. Yeah, I could definitely see more stuff coming like that. More accessories, more Toy-Cons later on, more software, definitely.
Yeah.
Were you sold on it before you went, or did this change your mind?
So I probably won't be picking it up, and that's only because my daughter's too young, and for me personally, storing all this stuff away will be quite a lot. Now, as Justin probably told you from when he met up and stayed here at EGX, I've got like a cardboard house myself, so that it is a lot to store away, and yeah, if my daughter was a bit older, then it'd have probably been sold to me before I went to the event. I'm a little bit more sold now to the point where I really want it, but I just can't because my daughter's too young. I want to get the playtime out of it as an adult on my own, and then I'm gonna have to store it. So
I don't know, man. This picture of you on our Nintendo Dad's Facebook page of you in the robot suit is pretty awesome. Like I think you could just wear that in public, just generally,
Yeah. Seeing that emotion as well, you see all these people like in the adverts really into it.
Yeah.
I did it. I look like an old person out on a shopping trip.
It's so good. I love it. Very cool. Right on, man. Anything else, guys?
I don't think so. I mean, man, we appreciate you going and getting a firsthand look for us.
Yeah,
it was awesome. It was awesome. Really cool.
Right on. Are you planning on hanging out for the rest of the show, or
maybe another half an hour tops.
Oh,
then
right.
I'm gonna go to work.
Probably as long as the rest of the show will last.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I did miss the beginning.
No worries. Yeah, we kind of talked a little bit about what we've been playing. Have you been playing anything else before we jump into like other news and stuff?
I've actually been sick for like 2 weeks, so I haven't got that much gaming time in. I've been playing a lot of Dandara, Night in the Woods, and I'm just about to download Faye to start this week. So I think everybody knows about Night in the Woods and Dandara already, so there's not too much to say there. But I really enjoying Dandara, but man, it's hard. It's really hard in places.
Isn't that the one, Marty, that you said that you never felt better about uninstalling from your Switch?
Yes. I
Wow, that's
look.
hard.
I'm gonna say it. I very rarely play a game that I despise, and this is it. I can't stand it. Yeah, I've tried, and I sat down and I made myself play it multiple times.
Oh, it's so good.
The thing about it is this is like I went into it blind. Like I like seeing the video in the beginning. I thought that like the sticking on walls and sticking to surfaces mechanic was just like one form of movement.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that it's the only form of movement. And when I died for like the 12th time, not because of anything I did, but because the game jumped to a place I didn't want it to go to, or I didn't charge up my shot enough. Oh my gosh. I was done with it. I was done. And like the whole time, all I could think of was like how awesome this game would be if they gave you a proper weapon and the ability to just run.
Yeah.
Just run on the walls. It's fine. Like use the white, use the salt parts as ways to like change perspective, but just let me run. Just let me play a normal action game. And I'm sure that was not their intention. They wanted you to play it a different way. Well, they lost me. I just
I got to play it early at EGX last summer, so I had an idea of what it was like before I went in. Was I expecting it to be so brutally hard? Like, it's really hard. And also, like, we got a review copy early, and they patched it before release because they said the economy on the game was a little bit broken, so they patched that. And it's still very broken because I had to restart my file because I got so far through it, and every time I like opened a treasure chest with currency in, which is like salt in the game, I'd die. And that's the way that you really get the money in the game, is by the chests. Without backtracking to the camp, which is where you can buy upgrades. If you die, you've lost it. You've pretty much lost that money. And I got so far without realising that it was the death that was losing the money. So I got to a point where I was so underpowered I couldn't get any further. So I had to start the game again in order to not die as much, to get the upgrades to carry on, which was painful because I'd already put like an hour and a half into it at that point. But I could kind of agree with you, Marty, to be honest. It's a really good game. The mechanics are there. There's some amazing boss fights in it. But they really didn't need to crank the difficulty up as far as they have, because
I completely agree.
It gets to the point where the checkpoints are so spaced out, and if you die, you have to start that entire section again.
Yeah, there was one part where I was playing, and I had gone like maybe 15 or 20 minutes into a section, just jetting around, finding my way, finding things, and I look around, I'm like, where's the checkpoint? Yeah. And then I died, and it took me all the way back.
Yeah.
And that was when I deleted it. I was like, I'm not doing, it was like the second time through. The second time, like, to almost back to that same point, and I died again. I was like, I'm out.
Just a question. Did you know you can play this in touchscreen as well?
Yes, I did. Yeah. And the only reason being is because I saw it on sale on the iOS web store or app store the day that, and I was actually glad, sometimes when we see apps like that or games like that make their way to the Switch and iOS, there's a huge price disparity. And there was not for Dandara, which I was pretty proud of. I mean, I'll give them credit for that. They didn't impose a Switch tax.
Yeah, so I think that's basically what it boiled down to. It just needs to be a little bit easier. But when you get into it and you can get to those boss fights, they're really good.
I honestly can't even imagine what a boss fight would be like in that game. Besides me throwing my Switch through the window. And that's it. And like, I don't like admitting a game's too hard for me, because I beat Celeste the day after I downloaded it.
What?
So, yeah, less than 1,000 deaths.
Nice.
That's good going. That's really good going.
And so I feel like I'm an okay video game player, but like when mechanics are unnecessarily clunky, like when I feel like they're just done just to be different, then I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't recommend that. Justin, on the other hand, thinks I'm crazy because I don't like Dandara. But that's Justin. We can talk about him because he's not here.
Yeah, he has been for like a month, Masson. No, that's fine.
An example of like price differences between Switch and any other version of a game that I've been wanting to get, but I'm not going to pay $40 on the Switch for when it's $25 everywhere else. Is the Minecraft story mode?
Yeah.
So if it goes down in price, yeah, I'll pick it up. But it's no reason why that should be a $40 game when I can buy it on my PS4 for $25 or the PC for $25. But those are systems I don't want to play it on. I want it on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And also being the fact that it's a season behind, right?
At this point, since I haven't played any of it, I'm not too worried.
But I mean, the thing is like if it was day and date season 2 with the rest of Minecraft story mode, I can kind of see the higher price. But I mean, you've got a game that's been out for a year.
I would still expect it to be the same price.
Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just I would expect season 1 to be a little cheaper. That's what I'm saying. A little discount there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
it's worth it, Jesse. It's a good game. You would definitely enjoy it.
Have you been playing anything else, Gary? That's pretty much it?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. Right on. Marty, you had other news stuff that you wanted to talk about real quick.
Yeah, just a couple of things I think are worth hitting before we sign off here tonight. The biggest news story, it's kind of another slow week for Nintendo, right? And not a whole lot other than I counted up before we went on air tonight. Another week with over 20 games announced in development for the Switch. And actually this week, some pretty big ones. Hello Neighbor is coming to the Switch, which lately has been a huge streaming game, that a lot of people have been interested in streaming. And then there's an app that I talked about, a game for iOS coming to the Switch in March called Slayaway Camp. And I really encourage you guys to take a look at this. It is a slasher movie themed puzzle game where you slide this character who's like Jason around, and your object is to kill all of the people on the screen without getting caught by the police, and then escape through a portal to hell.
Nice.
And as you go through the game, you're actually all the levels are themed. There's a circus or a carnival theme and a outdoor camp theme, and all of them are different videos on a rack in a video store. It's just got a really cool little aesthetic to it. And so that's coming to Switch. And then we had talked a few weeks ago about the Blob, which I loved when it came out back in the Wii days and everything. It's actually been confirmed now for the Switch, and rumor of the Blob 2 already being made as well. So I don't know if they're going to get released at the same time. But guys, 26 games this week announced for Switch, and so that's a pretty big deal. We'll try to highlight a few of those every show. The other big news is if you're a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 fan, the big update 1.3.0 that promised New Game Plus and other stuff has actually been pushed back until March 2nd because Nintendo found a bug in it, and they didn't want to release buggy update software. So at least they did it on the front end right and didn't have to patch it later on. So you'll just have to wait a few more weeks. Are people done with Xenoblade Chronicles 2? Have they beaten it?
I honestly, I feel like I'm still, I think I'm in chapter 7. Which, I mean, I'm pretty far into it, but I'm
in chapter 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Still. Yeah, I'm still in chapter 1.
That's one of those games I might get if I see it on sale.
Yeah.
I didn't give X any chance.
I like
it
but it's just
because of my
if I've got a
experiences
choice
with the first
between,
one.
if I got a choice, I'm like Zach, if I got a choice between playing that or sitting down for a round to enter the gungeon, I'm probably hitting the gungeon. Just to be honest, it will not release me. It's a cruel master. And then the other big news this week, Nintendo had some pretty awesome sales leading up until today, and they've actually changed those today in the North American eShop, and I know elsewhere probably as well. But lots of games on sale. Zach, I think you were talking about a couple of these earlier. Like you said, you were like, whoa, that's on sale. Which one interests you there?
Let me take a look at this again. Oh wait, we have a list, don't we? In the show notes.
Amazing what happens when you prepare.
There's a couple, I think, actually. Battle Chef Brigade is one. Axiom Verge is the other one, I think maybe is what you're thinking of.
Axiom Verge is, that's a pretty steep discount. It's like $6 off.
Yeah, for sure.
Rocket League's still on there too.
Yeah, Rocket League's now only $15. Dude, that's a steal.
It really is. The only thing that people need to understand, though, about that one is there was a 25% off deal going on for Rocket League last week up till today. And it was 25% off on the game and all of the DLC as well. The DLC has ended. So
hey, Marty, how did that sale go for you?
Oh, it went fantastic. Like I now own all the DLC for Rocket League.
Oh my
I was telling Zach earlier, I was like, so I have every car in Rocket League, and I probably won't ever play anyone except like the Samus car and the van. But I have them all.
That's amazing.
Got to catch them all. What I wanted to highlight here is Jackbox Party Pack 4, which is the newest one, is also on discount. It's less than $20 or right at $20 right now.
That one's not quite as good as number 3, though, right? Is that the consensus?
No, I didn't think so.
Okay.
It's
Jesse, what do you think?
I agree. 3 is the best, but 4 is runner up. Definitely.
4 is better than 2, and way better than 1.
Yeah.
So
one
if
one is
them,
one.
3, 4, 2, 1.
I wouldn't even suggest getting 1 unless you were a fan of that original quiz show. You know.
You don't know Jack.
That's the only reason.
Really
why
the only
you'd
reason
want
to get it.
Right.
There are much better versions of was Fibbage in the first one?
That was
second one,
2.
I think.
Fibbage is good though. I like Fibbage.
Yeah, like there's much better versions of some of those games out. And look, but here's the thing though.
If you have 3 and 4, you've got the best of the best.
But if you ever want to play what I consider one of the best Jackbox games, you have to get Party Pack 2 to play Bomb Squad.
I tried that 2 or 3 times.
I wish they would sell it separate.
I cannot get past day 2.
It's really good, and the more people you include, it's just it's so much more hectic. But yeah, go over there and you can find all this. There's also some 3DS sales going on as well. But again, who cares about the 3DS? So some people do.
Me, because I just bought one.
Jesse does.
The sales on in Europe as well, minus Rocket League. Rocket League's not on sale in Europe at the minute.
Okay.
But you have got Brawl Out. Which is another...
yeah, Brawl Out's not on ours. We have a game named Brawl, but we don't have Brawl Out. So your mileage may vary on where you're listening to us and what's on sale, but Nintendo kind of digging deep there and giving us sales because, hey, they're never going to give us any Switch rewards on my Nintendo, so why not give us some sales? But that's it. That's pretty much the news this week, guys.
Well, at least soon we'll be able to use our gold coins directly, so that's better than...
To buy games we already have.
No. We talked about it last week. In March, you'll be able to use gold coins as currency, eShop currency. Buy whatever the hell you want.
Dude,
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, okay. So let's have a little quick discussion about that. What do we think? What do we think they're gonna do with that the Switch business on My Nintendo? Is it gonna be a big deal, or is it gonna be like, hey, everybody, here you can get the Zelda DLC for?
Wow.
Time to get up, Gary. It's time to get up.
It's time to get up for work.
Yeah,
with the worst sound possible.
Oh, yeah. Where you just like shoot straight up. Oh gosh. Oh, never mind.
It's either time to get up or time to have your annual morning heart attack.
Yeah.
One or the other.
I feel like I've used that one before too, though.
Because it'll basically be like what the Digital Deluxe program was at Wii U's launch, but for Switch.
I'm perfectly fine with that, but
yeah, I'm fine with that.
I'm still adopting the Zach Erickson school of high hopes, low expectations.
Yeah, there you go. That is a good way to deal with things.
the thing to bear in mind is that Club Nintendo was never actually really that good for physical rewards anyway. Like they would have something on there once a year maybe that you would kind of be interested in, and half the time you ended up buying them just to get rid of your stars. So I'm expecting this to just be more of the same. If they do end up having physical rewards and stuff on there, the software rewards, they're not really going to be something that you're going to want, but you're going to buy just because you got the coins. So I'm actually okay trading it for currency on the eShop. You know, I mean, you spend £50,000 worth of AAA first party titles boxed to get a cheap indie game. That's fine with me. That's okay.
I still have this from
that makes me that makes me a little sick to my stomach.
Like
you showing me that.
First year, I think, or first or second year of Club Nintendo.
You had to be like elite, right? You had to be like the highest tier, and I missed it by I missed it by like 50 points.
Yeah. I bought so many games, like even through the DS and Wii era as well, that I was the platinum status every year.
And you know what the thing about that is the only reason I was not at that status that year is because they would put those little cards in your games, and I would always forget to go redeem them, until it was too late. And it was like, now if I buy something online on the eShop, it just does the points automatically, which is good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. You guys had a ranking system, didn't you? We didn't have that in Europe. We literally just had Club Nintendo, Registry Stars. This is the catalog. There you go. We didn't have a different ranking system.
I forget what the threshold was, but if you had like less than 500, you were gold. If you had more than 500 within a year, you were platinum.
Yeah, that depended on what kind of a reward you got at the end of the year, basically.
But you guys get really cool stuff over there, like, hey, you pre-ordered Mario Kart 8. Here's this blue shell statue.
Yeah, here's a replica, full-size life replica of a Mario Kart, right? That's they do it over in Europe.
The Skyward Sword scars were more plentiful over on your side than ours.
Yeah, it's mainly through game, but I think that's out of their desperation to get customers lately.
Yeah, in North America, I think that scarf was only available at the Nintendo store in New York, and they only had like 200 units, and they would turn people away, and people were pissed.
Yeah. Right on. Very cool. Okay. Hey, do we have any emails, guys?
Not this week that I know of. Hang on. Let me check.
What?
Let me check. If not, then this is when you need to be kind of vamping up email right here, Zach.
Vamp? Yeah. What kind of an email? Hey, Nintendo dads, I have a thing on my face. I don't know. I got nothing.
That is not
in any condition.
That is not what our listeners sound like.
Yeah.
They're more like, hey, Nintendo dad.
Hey, Nintendo dads.
No, we do have one. Here we go. I'm gonna read this. It's from Nicholas Metzger, by the way.
Yeah.
He says, after listening to you guys discuss the continuation of the 3DS, what would you think if Nintendo followed something similar to the cell phone model? So after 3 years of us having the current Switch, they cut the price to $150 or so and offer one with updated guts but the same shell for $299, giving them a reason to move from the 3DS. Compatibility for certain games in the eShop would be the biggest issue with this that I thought of right offhand. If a game needed the newer Switch to run and mom doesn't know that, it will probably make for some unhappy parents. Keep up the good work. Love, Nick. I inserted the love, but I'm sure it's there.
You should never.
So basically what he's asking is, what if Nintendo moved to a iPhone type model where the shell doesn't update that much, but you get new innards at the old Switch price, and the new one the old one drops to a budget price. What do you think?
Well, that's kind of a risky move, especially to the point when you do have to start splitting your audience. I think like if they did that, I think the first cut won't cut anyone yet, but probably like the fourth iteration you'll start losing Gen 1s because it'll need but you'll have games that'll require the better processor, more memory, more RAM, etc.
I'm afraid that we would run into a situation like new Nintendo 3DS, like we just talked about earlier in the show. What are they going to call it? Are they going to call it the Switch XL, the Switch 2? I mean, I would think that that's probably where they would need to go. They don't need to call it new Switch or something that would confuse the crap out of people.
'Cause-
And employees at different stores, when you come in, I want a new 3DS. Oh, we got 3DSs right over here. They have no clue what you're talking about. But and I'm specifically pointing at you, Walmart. You go in there and ask for that stuff, and nobody knows what you're talking about. But I like the concept of it, because I would love to see Nintendo push for that. But the problem is that or the question I have, and maybe Jesse, maybe you can answer this one. Can more advanced things fit into the shell of the Switch? Is that possible?
Well, I think Apple has proved that to be yes.
But
Well, look at iPhone
The
now
iPhone-
versus iPhone 10 years ago.
but the iPhone doesn't have to have an internal fan.
Well,
And
Yeah.
the iPhone doesn't have to have a cartridge slot.
there are things like that does limit what it can do. Like Apple removing the aux port to try to slim it down.
I guess, for me, I would think that if Nintendo did improve the Switch down the line, the obvious thing is they're going for a bigger screen for the portable.
Uh-huh.
Don't you guys think? It's not going to be so much. Maybe, there's going to be updated internals, but the form factor is going to change, right? Because anytime Nintendo does a revision, the form factor always changes.
Well, I feel like we had this conversation last week too about the fact that that Labo is kind of demands a certain form factor, and how that may indicate that the form factor may not be changing anytime soon, right? Like that to me tells me that it's not going to change anytime soon, unless they start removing features that are what you might call invisible to the consumer, right? At least with the form factor, right? So maybe the gyro, but there's no way that Labo would work without gyro, so that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
No.
with how minimal Switch is, I imagine it'll be kind of similar to iPad. If you look at the first 6 generations of iPad from 50 feet away, you wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah. The only thing that I can think is maybe they the only feature that I can see them removing from the Switch to make a cheaper model is the touchscreen. If they made a non-touch screen version of the Switch, maybe they could get away with that. But
then
touchscreens are so cheap now. I don't know if that would. I think it would be more expensive to have it not touchscreen.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, you might be right.
So, but what about removing the NFC reader as well?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what they plan on doing with Amiibo in the next few years.
Yeah.
I don't think you could remove any of the features. Everything from the touchscreen to the gyro to the IR, Labo uses it all. And with the NFC reader, again, I think they're fairly cheap things.
I'd say Labo is probably the only reason why the people for IR at this point, outside of 1-2 Switch, which no one cared about after week 2.
Until we get that Alex the Kid remake where you actually play rock paper scissors, which needs to happen. But I don't think you could remove any of the features. I understand people's desires to sort of change and evolve the Switch, but to be honest, I'm perfectly happy with it staying as it is for the next 2-3 years. I don't know about you guys, but I'm perfectly fine with it. I don't really need the D-pad on the Joy-Cons, which people are asking for. I don't really need.
I would like a D-pad.
I don't really need a bigger version. The D-pad thing, they could just release Joy-Con with it. It's not going to really change anything. But yeah, I'm happy with it how it is. I don't think it really needs to be changed at the minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I see what he's saying. I understand, but I really don't think they're in any hurry to mix up the formula. As long as 3DS is comfortable filling that's what we talked about this last week too, right? But as long as the 3DS is comfortably filling that role in the market, I don't think that Nintendo needs to do anything other than just continue doing what they're doing.
No,
and I think at this point, they still very much need to focus on having really good quality software coming out for the second half of the year, for sure. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I think they've kind of made it a little bit clear that mobiles are kind of replacing the 3DS more than a console. The Switch is like the half step in between the two. So
Yeah.
I think once the 3DS is gone, I don't really think they need to fill a gap in the market, because I don't really think there is a gap left.
Well, and the thing is that if they're able to get the price of the Switch down by $100 and maybe introduce a Switch Pro, then, which is, I guess kind of what they're talking about in this email too, right? But like maybe like a higher, like a premium version of the Switch, maybe they could do that instead, because if they were to be able to get the Switch down to $200 US, then maybe they would be, they'd be a lot better off. And I'm imagining even like, improving no, maybe not even necessarily the internals of the system, but more of just like, make it out of freaking anything other than plastic that warps when it gets warm. You know what I mean? Like,
if they do a pro system that has more power, similar to when they first introduced the new 3DSs, I think that Nintendo will still want to. They don't want to have the same problem with confusion that people had initially. So that if they have anything that like requires the Pro and can't be played on the old, I would think it would be something that would be digital only. It has to be digital only. If they release anything physical, it would have to be played on both. Otherwise, people will just get pissed off and confused.
Yeah, for sure. Right on. Well, hey, thanks. Any final thoughts before we wrap up the show about this? Like any emails? Any other thoughts about this email?
Nah.
Nah.
I think I said my say.
Yeah. No, Marty. The translation is no. I need to go home.
No. That sounded a little dismissive.
It's okay. You're allowed.
I'm an old man now. I need to go get my pills and go to bed.
I need to go home and change my pen. Yeah.
Listen, Zach, we're not supposed to talk about that.
I'm sorry. We're supposed to preserve your dignity as your age. You need to age gracefully.
What's dignity?
Right on. Well, hey, Gary. First off, man, like, huge thanks for waking up at the butt crack of dawn to come and talk to us about some cardboard. It's been awesome having you on the show.
Yeah, thanks, man. I think I'm fully awake now, or at least another coffee, and I will be.
Yeah, yeah. It is too early to. It's early enough to be like for you to be tired still, but it's too late to go back to bed. It's
way
literally
too late. Way too late for that.
You've been up for too long now. Right on. So tell everybody how can people find you online, man?
Yeah, best place on Twitter at Gary the Cooper. I just talk about mainly games on there, and also I've got a website which is www.thenintendovillage.com, which is fairly new, doing reviews and stuff like that, and there's a whole bunch of different shows in there as well, which is cool. So definitely check that out. And yeah, you'll just follow me on Twitter, and I'll post off to everything else from there.
That's awesome. Right on, man. Well, it's been awesome having you on the show. Marty, do we have anything as I'm kind of pulling up the music here?
Yeah, so reminder to be finishing up Final Fantasy 6 or 3, however you want to call it, on the Super Nintendo Classic or wherever you're playing it for this month's Retro Rewind. And also, be sure to check us out over at YouTube this weekend. We've got videos coming on Owlboy. We've got videos coming on The Fall. I'm going to be doing a playthrough of the first level of Bayonetta tomorrow after I pick it up. Or today as I pick it up.
It's out right now, by the way.
It is out right now.
I got a notification said it's
so
on.
I'm gonna be going and picking that up in the morning, downloading the first game, because I've never played either of them. So this is going to be a new experience for me. So I'm going to go through level 1 and let you guys experience it with me tomorrow over at the YouTubes. And also for our patrons, you need to mark your calendar if you are a Patreon supporter for the last Thursday of this month, which is going to be next week. The 22nd is going to be our February patron hangout over Google Hangouts, and we just hang out and shoot the bull and have a good time prior to the show. So it'll be an hour before showtime, So we'll tweet Patreon and message and all that stuff out to let you guys know about it starting tomorrow. We're looking forward to hanging out with you, and we'll be recording Retro Rewind for Final Fantasy VI here sometime soon. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, and I don't think there is. Just go play games.
Just
play games and have a good time.
Yeah, man. Right on. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think I got some music here.
I have a quick little non-Nintendo plug I wanted to show.
Let's go for it.
This evening, a trailer for the Final Fantasy... for the Persona 5 animation broke, and I watched it, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for that to happen.
Nice.
That apparently starts in April.
That's awesome. Right on, man. That's so everybody go check that business out too. That's really, really cool. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been another episode of Nintendo Dads. Thank you. Huge thanks once again to Gary for stopping by, man. As well, huge thanks to all of our Patreon producers and everybody over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads who supports the show. You guys are amazing and awesome. And, the most selfless, wonderful, beautiful people on the internet. Huge thanks to you guys. If you want to follow us on all of the social medias, you can do so on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Nintendo Dads. If you want to email us, nintendodads@gmail.com is the place to send the messages of the things and the stuff. Do it. That's where you go.
Stuff and things.
Stuff and things. You just go over there and you just do that over there. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, if you want to send us a voicemail, 92925-NDADS, that's 92925632237. Huge thanks to OC Remix for our music throughout the show, as well as to both Carter Johnson and Adam Leonard for our amazing artwork. If you want to buy Nintendo Dads merch, we don't talk about this enough, go over to tiny.cc/Nintendo Dads store. For those of you out there who were asking on Twitter, which these people definitely 100% exist, and I'm not making this up, you can get a sized duvet mattress or duvet cover of the Nintendo Dads artwork for your own personal bed. You can surprise your wife with a late Valentine's present.
We will protect you while you sleep.
Yes, we will. You can wrap yourself in our caricatures. I don't know. It's late, guys. As well, basically, go over there. You can get all sorts of stuff. Finally, go to tiny.cc/Nintendo Dad store. Finally, if you want to change the world, which I know that you do, go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. Written reviews are even better. And if you want to subscribe, go over to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and of course, VGTribune.com. For me, for Jesse, for Marty, for Gary, and for the missing Justin. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Wobble Puffet? Wobble Buffet?
All right. That's it.
That music hit new heights tonight. I've never heard that part.
I know, it's
like the Flavor Flav. Yeah.
Usually what happens is that I end up talking a little bit longer than usual. Like I feel like I maybe sped through it tonight because it ended up like, usually it's like, and we'll see you next time. Well, wiki, yeah. Like I'm able to time it better, but whatever. Well, hey, thanks again, man. It was awesome having you on.